They told her to stay quiet, to sit down, to blend in, but something inside her refused to shrink, because a woman's power isn't something that can be silenced, it's a wildfire waiting for the right spark. From the moment she opens her eyes, a woman carries generations of untold stories, dreams, and strength within her. It's not just about biology or culture, it's about the raw, untamed energy of creation, resilience, and vision that lives within every woman. It's the power to nurture life, to rebuild broken things, to turn pain into purpose and silence into a voice that echoes across ages. The world may try to define a woman by roles: daughter, mother, wife, worker, but those are only titles. Her true essence is that of a creator, a fighter, a force of nature, and yet society has long tried to box that power, to dim it, to tell women they must wait their turn, speak when spoken to, dress a certain way, behave a certain way, dream only so far. But power doesn't wait for permission. It rises, quietly at first, then louder, until it becomes undeniable. Look at the world around you. Every major movement, every leap forward in history, somewhere a woman was standing behind it. Fighting battles no one saw, carrying burdens no one acknowledged, giving her all even when she received nothing in return. That's not weakness, that's not sacrifice, that's power, unbreakable, unstoppable power. A woman's strength is not loud and boastful. It's often silent like the roots of a tree, but it holds up the weight of entire generations. She leads with compassion, but don't mistake that for softness. Her empathy is a strategy, her intuition is data, her heart is her greatest weapon, not a weakness. She sees what others don't, feels what others ignore, understands what others overlook, and when she chooses to act, to lead, to step into her full self, the world shifts. Power in a woman doesn't always come with a title or applause. Sometimes it looks like waking up at 5 a.m. to chase a dream while raising a child. Sometimes it's walking into a room full of doubt and daring to speak anyway. Sometimes it's starting over not once, but 10 times and refusing to quit. That's not just strength, that's revolution. And the truth is, when a woman realizes the power she holds, she becomes impossible to control. Not because she wants to dominate, but because she's done asking for approval. She's done shrinking to fit someone else's idea of who she should be. She's done hiding. This power doesn't need validation. It doesn't need to be pretty or perfect. It only needs to be owned, because the world doesn't change when women fit in. It changes when women rise. They say, know your place. But what if your place is exactly where you choose to stand? What if your place is the stage, the front row, the boardroom, the battlefield, the spotlight? Every woman was born with a voice, but over time, that voice gets buried under layers of expectations, judgments, traditions, and fears. Society often teaches women to stay small, to be polite, to not make others uncomfortable, to apologize for being too loud, too ambitious, too different. But the truth is, you were never meant to shrink. You were meant to expand, to take up space boldly, fearlessly, and without apology. Because the moment you step into your full presence, the world is forced to shift around you. Your space is sacred. It is your energy, your thoughts, your presence, your truth, and it doesn't have to be approved, polished, or softened to make others feel safe. You have a right to dream bigger than they ever allowed you to. You have a right to walk into rooms and be seen, not just heard politely, not just noticed in the background, but truly seen as someone who belongs, someone who owns her worth, someone who doesn't wait for permission. Why do so many women doubt their own space? Because they've been conditioned to believe it has to be earned, that they have to check every box, prove their value, stay quiet until called upon. But space isn't earned through perfection. It's claimed through presence, through self-belief, through courage. And courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear, it means you move anyway. It means you walk into the meeting, apply for the job, speak your mind, chase the dream even with your heart pounding, even with doubt whispering in your ear. When you take up space, you show the world that your ideas matter, that your vision deserves a platform, that your emotions have depth, that your leadership can be fierce, compassionate, strategic all at once. You no longer wait for the right moment. You become the moment. Taking up space doesn't mean being aggressive. It means being present. It means standing tall in your identity, in your truth, in your value. It's walking into a room and not feeling the need to shrink to fit others' expectations. It's saying what needs to be said clearly, confidently, and without waiting for someone else to say it first. Your dreams were never too big, people's imaginations were just too small. Your voice was never too loud, they just weren't used to hearing truth at that volume. Your goals were never impossible, they were just too bold for their comfort zone. Every time you choose to be fully, authentically yourself without adjusting for someone else's approval, you reclaim your power. Every time you speak when silence is expected, every time you lead when others think you should follow, every time you trust your instinct over their doubt, you create a new normal, and that normal is unapologetically yours. They'll say you're too emotional, too fragile, too sensitive to survive the real world, but what they fail to understand is this courage and resilience are not loud. They're not always about shouting or breaking through walls. Sometimes they're about holding yourself together when everything around you is falling apart. Sometimes they live in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when the applause is gone and the spotlight fades. That's when true strength is born. That's where a woman's courage is shaped not in comfort, but in fire. It takes real bravery to wake up every day and face a world that constantly underestimates you. It takes unimaginable resilience to be judged more for your appearance than your ability, to be told you're too much or not enough in the same breath and still choose to keep going. That is not weakness. That is not survival, that is warrior energy. Courage isn't always about charging into battle. Sometimes it's about rising after every setback. It's choosing to believe in yourself after hearing no for the 100th time. It's staying true to your values when the world tells you to change. It's fighting through self, doubt and fear and showing up messy, vulnerable and real because you know your purpose matters more than your fear. They will call you dramatic when you speak up. They will call you stubborn when you stand your ground. They will call you difficult when you refuse to settle. Let them, because that courage, that resistance, that refusal to shrink or break or be molded, that is power. Resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you earn through every failure, every heartbreak, every challenge that didn't destroy you. You've cried in silence and wiped your own tears. You've encouraged others while battling your own storms. You've found a way to smile, to show up, to give your best even when life gave you every reason not to. That's resilience. That's the strength they can't measure, can't define, can't label. And courage, it's not the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else matters more. It's standing on shaky legs and still walking forward. It's looking fear in the face and whispering, "You don't own me." Every time you've spoken up when your voice trembled, every time you've faced rejection and still dared to try again. Every time you've refused to let pain write your story, you've shown the kind of courage most people will never understand. They think courage is loud. They think strength means never bending, but a woman knows better. Because she's bent without breaking, she's risen without applause, she's built herself from the ground up, using pain as bricks and belief as cement. They'll never see the full battles you've fought. But you carry the scars like armor, and every scar tells a story not of defeat, but of survival with purpose. They'll say you're too confident, too proud, too ambitious. They'll whisper that you should tone it down, be more humble, stay in your lane. But here's the truth: they don't want you to know your confidence is not arrogance. Your ambition is not a flaw, it is your fuel. From the moment a woman dares to believe in herself, the world around her begins to shift. Confidence in a woman is powerful not because it's loud, but because it's undeniable. It's the steady fire in her eyes when she walks into a room and doesn't second guess her presence. It's the way she speaks without waiting for permission, without asking if her opinion matters. Because it does, and deep down she knows it. Ambition is not a crime, but for too long women have been told to dream small, to be grateful for crumbs, to wait patiently for opportunities to be handed to them. They've been taught that wanting more makes them selfish, aggressive, even dangerous. But what if ambition is exactly what this world needs more of? What if women stopped apologizing for their goals and started pursuing them with their full, unapologetic energy? Confidence is not the absence of doubt, it's the decision to keep showing up anyway. It's being aware of your flaws and still believing in your worth. It's walking into spaces where you're underestimated and choosing to own the room anyway. It's trusting your voice, your ideas, your vision even when others try to dismiss them. Ambition is not greed, it is clarity of purpose. It is the hunger to create, to lead, to build, to transform. Ambitious women challenge the norm. They disrupt systems. They break ceilings not to prove a point, but because staying small is no longer an option. And when they don't rise alone. They lift others with them. That's the power of female ambition. It's inclusive, it's purposeful, and it's unstoppable. They'll call you intimidating, they'll say you're too much, but what they really mean is you can't be controlled. There is nothing wrong with wanting more impact, more voice, more growth, more freedom. You are not here to play small, to wait your turn, or to dim your shine so others can feel comfortable. You are here to lead. And leading starts with believing in yourself, in your path, in your power. You don't owe anyone an apology for your confidence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your ambition. Let them misunderstand you. Let them doubt you, because while they're watching from the sidelines, you're building something that cannot be ignored. You're turning goals into milestones, setbacks into fuel, and every no into a louder, stronger yes. And that's not arrogance. That's what happens when a woman finally stops shrinking and decides to become everything she was meant to be. They say empowered women are a threat, that they're too loud, too bold, too opinionated. But maybe what they're really afraid of is the chain reaction one empowered woman can start, because when a woman discovers her voice, her worth, her strength, she doesn't just rise for herself, she becomes a spark, a force, a revolution that spreads far beyond her own life. She becomes the kind of woman who holds the door open for others, who speaks so others can find their own voice, who breaks barriers not to stand alone, but to pull others through with her. Empowerment is contagious. It's not a solo act, it's a ripple effect. When a woman stands tall, other women straighten their spines. When a woman speaks her truth, others find the courage to tell their own stories. When a woman claims her power unapologetically, it gives silent permission for others to stop apologizing too. That's not ego, that's impact, that's leadership. It doesn't take 1 million followers to be an empowered woman who empowers others. It takes integrity, it takes kindness, it takes consistency and the decision to no longer live by fear. It's in the little things, choosing to uplift instead of compete, to support instead of judge, to listen instead of silence. It's raising your daughter to believe she can lead, and raising your son to respect her when she does. They want you to believe that powerful women tear each other down, but the truth is that narrative was designed to divide. Real power doesn't need to compete, it collaborates. Real power doesn't need to dim another's light, it ignites it. When women come together, not as rivals, but as allies, the ground beneath us begins to shift. Societies evolve, cultures transform, histories are rewritten. Empowerment means using your strength not just to rise, but to lift, to be the mentor you never had, to speak in rooms where other women aren't yet allowed, to demand space and then make sure others are invited in once you're there. It's about choosing legacy over ego, impact over attention, change over comfort. Every time a woman chooses to stand in her power, she breaks a generational cycle. She tells every girl watching, you don't have to wait to be chosen, you can choose yourself. She tells every woman struggling in silence, you're not alone, I see you, I believe in you. And she tells every system designed to suppress her, "You can't erase me, I'm here, and I'm building something bigger." Empowered women don't just inspire change, they become the change. They lead from the front and support from the back. They show others what's possible simply by refusing to be less than who they are. And in a world that profits from women's doubt, a woman who believes in herself and then turns around to empower another is one of the most radical, unstoppable forces that exists. They say one woman can't make a difference, but history tells a different story, because when a woman rises, truly rises, she doesn't rise alone. Every step forward a woman takes sends a silent message backward through time and forward through generations. Her rise isn't just personal, it's collective, it's ancestral, it's revolutionary. She is standing on the shoulders of the women who came before her, the ones who were silenced, who were told no, who never got the chance to speak their dreams aloud. And now, through her, they speak, they rise. When you chase your dream, you give permission to others to chase theirs. When you break a rule that was never meant to protect you, you make space for someone else to walk through that same door with less fear. When you say yes to yourself, to your growth, your freedom, your worth, you're also saying yes. For every woman watching you, known or unknown, who needed that proof, your journey is not just about you. It's about what comes after you. It's about your daughter, your sister, your friend, your neighbor, your future self. It's about that one girl sitting in the back of the classroom wondering if she matters. It's about the woman who gave up on herself years ago and is now looking at you thinking, maybe I can try again. That's the chain you're creating. That's the legacy you're writing with every bold move you make. Every time you choose to speak your truth, you loosen the grip of silence for someone else. Every time you take up space unapologetically, you show others they can do the same. Every time you choose to live by courage instead of fear, someone else learns what courage looks like. You may not see the impact immediately. You may never know the names of the women who were changed because you decided to stop settling. But trust this, the ripple effect is real. Empowerment echoes. Growth multiplies, and freedom inspires more freedom. They'll tell you to stay humble. They'll tell you to be quiet. But the louder your rise, the more hearts you reach, the more minds you open, the more paths you clear. Generational change doesn't happen by accident. It happens because one woman said enough. It happens because one woman dared to break a pattern of silence, of suffering, of shrinking. It happens because someone like you decided not to pass down pain, but to pass down power. Not to inherit limitation, but to create liberation. So rise with purpose. Rise knowing that it's not just your story being rewritten, it's 1,000 untold stories being given a second chance. Your strength becomes someone else's survival guide. Your light becomes someone else's breakthrough. Your courage becomes a map for a girl who hasn't yet found her voice. And just by rising, you become the reason she believes she can.